Canadians are an inherently skeptical bunch. Professional soccer has had a bumpy history. People who are maybe in their 20s don't remember what things were like in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. I do. I don't necessarily think that Canadian soccer has always failed because Canadians didn't support. Canadian pro soccer failed because Canadians didn't support teams. I think to a large degree, it was a combination of bad business models and sometimes just leagues that were not well structured. The NASL was, the Canadian teams that played in the NASL were not necessarily the problem, but the league itself had a lot of structural issues that caused the collapse and took the teams with them. I think a lot has changed since the late 80s, early 90s, when the last attempt for a domestic Canadian league started and fell down. But that being said, there are some really important things that need to be executed well in order to ensure the long-term existence of this new league. One is having strong, committed, experienced ownership groups that ideally already have an infrastructure in the sport entertainment world, so that their overheads for the addition of running a professional soccer team are not so high. When you are an organization, there's one of the teams that cities that is talked about consistently is Hamilton, and it's being led by the Hamilton Tiger Cats organization. When you have an organization such as that one that already has a great deal of infrastructure in place, from ticketing and sales and marketing to security, concessions, team services, and all these things, it makes adding another piece to the organizational puzzle a lot easier than starting from scratch if someone like myself wanted to start a team with no infrastructure and having to build everything up from scratch. So, my hope is that many of the ownership groups that make up the initial rollout of this league are groups like the Tiger Cat organization. It's critical that they play in good facilities that are appropriate for the game, that not only are comfortable for fans to attend and somewhere that's desirable for fans to attend, but also allows the soccer purist to feel that they're in a stadium that is welcoming to the game. And a big part of that is ideally not having football lines, Canadian football lines on the pitch. That's a challenge. Obviously, many of our facilities in Canada are multi-purpose, and even though soccer is by far a more popular sport from a participation level than gridiron football, politically we don't have the clout, it seems, to get many soccer-specific stadium, even if they're small, 4,000 seaters. Built in this country. So it's going to be important to create an intimate atmosphere, because I don't think initially you're going to see a lot of clubs that are going to draw 20,000 plus to games, but I think that there's a good strong base that you can see 8 to 10 to 12,000 people consistently out for games, and you don't want them to feel like they're in a big cavernous empty stadium. It doesn't lend to creating a nice appealing product. For me, having a league that puts an emphasis on providing opportunities for Canadian players is going to be big. I really think that Canadians are quietly more nationalistic than they let on a lot of the times, and I think as a selling feature, that to differentiate the league from other product that people might have a choice to spend their money on, to make it a decidedly Canadian product, ensuring that a large number of the players, ensuring that coaching staffs, even front office staffs, are by and large Canadian, I think will be important, and it will help develop that soccer business that I was talking about, that industry for soccer, getting more young people excited about working in the game because they actually see opportunities for themselves, and then you start creating that mass of excitement at the bottom level that will percolate up. So those are three of the key things for myself. Having a media partner would be ideal, but in today's day and age where you have over-the-top options that make it just inexpensive and very easy to broadcast your product the way you want to the audience that wants to consume your product. I think that while it would be nice to have games on TSN or Sportsnet or some other network, I don't think that anymore is a major stumbling block if it doesn't exist, because realistically, a league like a CPL would probably have to pay for broadcast time in its early going, and that might not be the best use of what will probably be limited resources in that regard. So tapping into the fan bases that exist in all the markets will be critical. We saw it with Toronto FC when they launched. I think people were shocked by how quickly a fan culture emerged out of nothing, where you had all these people standing in the south end of BMO Field, singing and jumping and chanting and throwing seat cushions and throwing streamers and what have you. The excitement was palpable in the early days, and it's kept on. And I think that there is a desire in other markets amongst hardcore soccer fans to have that, to be able to replicate that sentiment in their community and to recruit others to join them. So tapping into that excitement will be really critical to having long-term success, because those are the people who are your ambassadors day in, day out, talking about your product when maybe the mass media isn't.